สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีค่ะ
What is human rights?
When someone asked him about what is human rights, his answer was, is always, human rights is life. Because human rights is about everything about your life, from the second you were born until the second you die. So as I said, it's about everything about your life, right to life to start with, then right to education, right to health care, right to freedom of expression, right to clean environment, whatsoever. So you can see that human rights is something not only close to our life, but is part of our life.
Based on your work experience, could you please give us your introduction of yourself?
I learned human rights is really from my own experience working on the ground. I didn't enter into human rights work immediately because after that I joined a government agency only after I made myself transfer to Mahidol University that I restart my work in human rights, especially started with human rights education with human rights program at Mahidol University. I think I was quite lucky that the university was giving me or is still giving me opportunity to do human rights work, especially from education perspective.
What is the limitations of this kind of human rights education in Thailand?
The very first limitation is actually about the policy itself. Although the current government has made in 2017, as far as I recall, the current government has made human rights national agenda. But I didn't see any concrete measures, concrete steps toward making human rights a real agenda with proper implementation. So we are lacking of proper policy, although the agenda is there. The second one is come to education. Most of universities do not give priority to human rights. Few Thai students apply, and some of them came to me asking Ajahn Sriprapha, what would be the profession that I'd be having if I graduated from human rights program? And I told them that you could do anything you like as long as you keep human rights in mind. You don't need to be human rights activist, even if you graduated from human rights program. So human rights still is not popular among students. So these are some of the limitations. Actually, there are some other limitations identified by our researchers. For example, lack of teaching skills, because human rights are not offered at universities. So teachers do not have not only knowledge, but do not have skill to teach. There's not much materials, especially in Thai language. You got very few books in Thai language. Otherwise, most materials are in English or in other languages. Then academic freedom. In order to students to learn and for lecturers to teach, academic freedom is the key.
What would be the future trends of human rights?
I already mentioned about academic freedom and freedom of expression. This is one of many more challenges because the situation is quite serious. But there are some other limitations as well. I mentioned about there is no clear policy about promotion and protection of human rights in the country. Although interestingly, all constitutions of all South Asian countries, including Thailand, recognize human rights. So you might notice we even have one section on human rights and on rights and liberties alone, right? In the Thai constitution, started since 1997 constitution, although in the current constitution we may be having less, but otherwise all constitutions in South Asian countries recognize human rights. Not only we found human rights in the constitution and national laws, but also most of all South Asian countries have ratified international human rights treaties. Thailand alone has ratified 7 out of 9 international human rights treaties. So we are having quite good record. And then lack of awareness as well among the people, because I would link to human rights education. If you do not promote human rights education, you could not really expect people to be aware of their own rights. If you ask, for example, students at law school, the interest is quite low. These are just some of the limitations. But if you ask me further whether or not we have any opportunities in terms of promotion and protection of human rights, there are few opportunities. And I see, I didn't mention earlier that one of the serious challenges, limitations, is actually political space. Not all countries are having, that people are having political space in really, struggling or fighting for their rights or enjoying human rights. Some countries are saying that, because we are still poor, they perceive human rights is too expensive. Then I'll be asking, if respect for freedom of expression, what costs you?
Nothing.
Nothing. If officers do not torture anybody, what costs you? No cost. Where you torture, it will cost you something, right? So saying that we are still poor, our country is still poor, we need development. Actually, without human rights, there will be no real development. So if you look from that particular perspective, I see some opportunities in some countries, maybe not specifically Thailand, because we are still negotiating about what kind of portfolio in the government you'll be having. But I see some positive move in some countries. For example, Malaysia, after last year election, at least we have some hope. We also see in the case of Indonesia with the latest elections, although we might not be fully happy with the result of elections, but at least the running mate, not running mate, but the candidate who was competing for presidency, he was actually threatening to use violence, but I think he finally said he'll be fighting based on law. That's already a good sign when you see that legal measures is more important than using any other means. I'm not saying that using legal measures is always good, because many governments are using legal measures in order to intimidate human rights activists, human rights advocates. But if you use it in a good way, it would be rather positive. Otherwise, I can see I'm doing human rights education, so I can see some development in some countries. I was sharing with you that some countries like Myanmar, Vietnam, these two countries have made human rights education compulsory for all law students. That's quite something. Thailand doesn't do that yet. If you really want to look at promotion and protection of human rights, I feel that we really need to start with education, with awareness raising. We are also hoping that in the future, human rights system in the region would be working much more efficiently. Of course, I don't know when.
So for today, I would like to say thank you very much for your time being with us and interview a very important